Welcome to the Sober Podcast. I am your host, Jamie Brickhouse. And our sober celebrity today is Colleen Hopkins. She is a wife, mother of two children, and avid yogi joining us from South Florida. Welcome to the Sober Podcast, Colleen. I'm grateful you could join us today.
It's great to be here, Jamie.
Tell our listeners a little bit how you found sobriety.
So I've been sober now about 6 months, and I last October I just basically hit what I think was my rock bottom, and I woke up one morning after a week of drinking. We have a second home in the Florida Keys. We were down there, and I woke up with a hangover, had to drive back home to be at one of my children's, my daughter's cheerleading meet. And I said, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Sounds like it was that sick and tired moment.
Yep. Definitely.
And so when you made that decision, did you just stop cold turkey, or did you get involved in a program?
So I had already been kind of slowing down since COVID. I kind of got out of control during COVID. So, when things started to get more back to normal, I started, just drinking on the weekends. And, like a lot of people do that don't want to quit yet, or they're not ready to quit. And so I was slowing down, but it was starting to creep up again. The weekends were becoming Thursday through Monday, and that kind of thing. If there was a holiday, I would drink. If I had a party during the week, I would drink. So it was creeping up again, but I had cut back a lot. So I just stopped cold turkey. I think after that, I drank maybe 2 more times. Like very socially, like one drink, but already in my head I kind of knew like I was done from October. So pretty much I did it cold turkey, but I did use CBD, which really helped. Especially that witching hour, like between 4 and 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, when I really wanted to drink at the beginning. I would take some CBD, and I loved kombucha. I would have kombucha, and I'd pour it in my wine glass, and that helped a lot at the beginning, just to feel like I was kind of having my glass of wine, but I wasn't. That kind of thing.
Yeah. And so how is it now? You're 6 months in, so it's still new. Are you how are you staying sober now? Just by
I'd say after the first month, it got easier for me. Halloween was very hard. I have children, and everyone around here goes out and they're on golf carts and they're drinking and they're doing shots and they're trick-or-treating with the kids. So that was hard. Thanksgiving got a little, every holiday, I kind of would like go through the holidays, and every holiday got a little easier, and up to New Year's, and that got easier. And I've been to the Keys like 3 more times since then, and I haven't drank. So that got easier, because that's basically kind of going on vacation and not drinking. I just started getting used to it, and I started feeling so much better in the morning, and my workouts were better, and I felt less bloated, and I felt less sick. So I just started to almost, in a way, like become addicted to not drinking, because I didn't want to drink and mess up how good I felt.
Right. And did you ever think of a 12-step program or a harm reduction program or any of the various other avenues of sobriety, of recovery, rather?
I read and I've researched a lot about it. I am in a group, a harm reduction group. Jen Hurst is her name on Instagram. She has a group where there's daily check-ins, and you talk about gratitude, you talk about how you rate your day, you read, kind of just positive group for people who are sober. So I have been doing that, and I actually even have been working as her assistant too. So I've been, kind of surrounded by a whole group of people that are recovering. So it's been very positive.
Hmm.
Um, in the past, my husband also suffers from alcohol addiction. He um he got more into, like, he has taken naltrexone and gone through kind of a medical, harm reduction.
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
but I didn't feel like I needed to, at the time, and I don't feel like I need to now.
You mean to do a medical harm
Yeah.
reduction,
Mhm.
right? Yeah, but you're in the harm reduction group. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
so yeah, so then there is a program for you, or you
yes.
are in some kind of program. Um, and so we want to talk about sobriety and motherhood. So how do you think your drinking affected your children's lives, up until recently, up until sobriety?
I think it affected them greatly. I think my husband, as he was also a drinker, um, my kids were surrounded by it. Every
Hmm.
party they went to had alcohol, every kid's birthday party. Where we live, it's not really seen as a weird thing. We're kind of surrounded by it. I'm
Right.
sure in a lot of places that's, how it is.
Yep.
So, it started to get with my children where they were making comments. They were noticing, they were saying, "Mom, you're drunk," or "Dad, you're drunk," or, "Dad doesn't come to this because he's drunk." My son fell and hit his head one time, and he was crying, and I said, "You're fine." And he said, "Mom, you didn't care that I hurt myself because you were drunk."
Oh,
Stuff like that, because my
yeah.
kids
Hmm.
are now 11 and 8, so they notice. And I find it funny, around Christmas I was at a lot of parties, and one of the parties I was at, a lot of people were drinking, and probably, half of the people were kind of drunk, and before I would have never even noticed it. I would have been just drinking along with them,
Sure.
and there was
Hmm.
kids and adults, and I started to really notice, because I wasn't drinking, but I made a comment to my daughter, and I said, "Wow, a lot of people at that party were drunk." And she goes, "Mom, that's like how all the parties I ever go to are." And I was like, it really like hit me, like,
Yeah.
this is what my children have been surrounded with, you know,
Hmm.
and, it's not right. To me, it's not right for them.
Yeah.
They have no choice, you know. Um, so I do, sometimes have some regrets, and I wish I quit earlier, but I'm happy I quit now. And, they're gonna see me and my husband as different than they have in the past.
Great, great. You know what? That's a good place for it. I want to get more into that. But first, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and
Okay.
we'll be back in just a few seconds.
Hi, I'm Sonia, the founder of Everbloom. We help you change your relationship with alcohol through connection and conversation. We provide small group meetings where you can share your story and get the encouragement and support you need to achieve your goals. Whatever your goals are, we're a judgment-free space. You can find us at joineverbloom.com, BLUME, and try us out with a free meeting.
And we're back talking with Colleen Hopkins. And um, so, are your kids? Do you talk to them about being sober, or and are they aware of your sobriety?
Yeah, I've been very honest with them. There's really no way they could not know about the issues in our family, because it was dysfunctional with the
Hmm.
alcohol. There was fighting, there was passing out, there was, it just wasn't, you know, something that children should really see a lot of it. But they've always seen it. So, I think they're happy that I'm sober. I feel like I'm more patient with them. I feel like, overall I'm just a better mom. Before it was like I bought into the whole mommy wine culture. You know, it was, I
Oh, yeah.
deserve a drink. My kids were so annoying today. I deserve a drink. You know, they're getting on my nerves. You know, it's very prevalent around here and probably a lot of places in suburbia, you know.
Right.
But I started, when I quit drinking, I really started to think about it. And I'm like, how's that fair to our children to be, you know, showing them that they're so annoying or bothering me so much that I have to drink every night, you know,
What
to
message does
deal with
that
them.
send?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, how has it changed the way you parent now that you're sober? What differences have you seen in yourself and the way you are?
I think I'm a lot more patient. I'm definitely a lot more present. Like that's the main thing. Before I was there, but I wasn't there. Like I was thinking about, I've been taking them to the beach, you know, a lot of weekends, and before I would be there, but I had my beers and I'm hanging out at the beach, you know, for myself. And now I'm spending time with them, and I'm listening to them more, and I'm doing things that they like, you know, not everything. I feel like, you know, when I was drinking, I was very selfish. It was just, you know, I need my drink and I want to sit here and, you know, don't bother me, go play, you know.
Right, yeah. And so, yeah, you're really there for them, it sounds like now.
Yes. And I really, I'm really, for the first time, like, I feel like I'm actually like there for my, you know, present with my kids.
What actually, but I want to, and how has it changed your marriage now that your husband is also in harm reduction and
It's been very challenging with both of us, both having issues. My husband was, I'd say, at a more severe stage than me. So it's been hard. Like he's been sober on and off since January, which is amazing. Like how much he, you know, that he's gotten there.
yeah,
You know, basically our marriage came to the point that we were gonna get divorced. I mean, something had to change because it was just not, I mean, we've been married 15 years this year. And I think a lot of it, through all the chaos, is we stayed together because of the kids, but it got to a point where it wasn't healthy for the kids. So when I got sober, I think it really, my husband, you know, it really put him into a corner almost where, you know, he didn't have any excuses anymore. He couldn't say, well, you were drunk, well, you did this, because I wasn't anymore. You know,
right.
I was making myself better
You
and
didn't
I
have
was changing. Yeah. So it really brought to the forefront our problems, because I think before it was just, we would just drink and then we'd fight and then we'd make up the next day. And it was a very, not a, it wasn't a good, it wasn't a healthy relationship, I'd say. So we are working on that, and it's getting better and better, you know, the longer he's sober and the longer I'm sober. So
great. If you were to give advice to someone who has children and who's just getting sober, what would that be, or what are some of the tips you would give?
I would just tell someone, like, don't beat yourself up about it. You know, if you're sober, it's amazing. It doesn't matter when you get sober. Your kids are still gonna benefit from it. You know, it's never too late. And don't think, you know, it's too late, my kids are too old, like I already ruined them, they're already dysfunctional, you know. I don't think that's true, because I read a lot of even adults that said, you know, I wish my mom would get sober now and I'm 40 years old, you know. So I don't think people should beat themselves up about it.
Good to know. Good advice. What is the hardest thing you've been through since you've been sober the last 6 months, and how did you get through it?
Just trying to adjust in relationships sober, I feel like, is challenging sometimes. And I felt like when I was drinking, I was in a mode where I was just going through the motions, And when I became sober, I was just exhausted. I felt exhausted because I was actually like having feelings and processing everything that's been going on for years.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of days at the beginning, sometimes even I just want to like go take a nap in the middle of the day. Like,
just go back in bed and close the blinds
I just maybe before, you know, because when you drink, you're just drinking away your emotions. You're not thinking. Yeah, anytime you had any issue, you just drink. So I think that's one thing I've been dealing with, and I think I've been dealing with it well. You know, I do yoga, I meditate, you know, I've taken a job at home, I'm doing more contract work, I'm doing things that I'm not just in a mode where I'm, you know, so stressed all the time, doing things I don't want to do. You know, I said, if I'm going to get sober, I'm going to make sure that, you know, my life isn't chaotic as it was. So I'm really trying to live by that.
That's great. And kind of follow-up question to that, what's the best lesson that you've learned since you've been sober, and how has it helped you?
Lesson. I've just, I don't know if really a lesson per se, but I just observe people now, and I just see things a lot differently. I feel like before I was going through the motions, and now I'm actually like seeing and feeling things, kind of going back to what I was saying before.
Being
And
more present.
Yes, and it's hard to put into words. And I'm kind of learning, you know, just be patient with myself. You know, relationships are not going to be fixed in a day. You know, my body or health problems or things that I've done this for 20 years. It's not going to, you know, things aren't going to be, my health isn't going to be perfect in 5 weeks. You know, this take time and be patient on things.
Yeah, that's a good lesson that we can all we all should follow. Well, thank you for joining us today, Colleen, and to all of our listeners. Thank you for your continued support. Be sure to visit us on soberpodcast.com and all places you get your podcast. Leave us a review, sign up for our mailing list. You will also find contact information in the show notes for our guest, Colleen, and I am your host, Jamie Brickhouse. You can find me on TikTok, where I tell a true story every day wearing high heels, and I'm the author of Dangerous When Wet, a memoir of booze, sex, and my mother. Signing out for Sober Podcast, and tune in for another show next week.